All of us try to avoid feeling burnt out. But what do you do when there's a job that must get completed and you have no energy or you have low energy to see it through? It's my desire for you to be productive in any circumstance, in any season. And so in this conversation, we are going to be talking about how to find energy when experiencing burnout. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. I'm grateful to have you here today as we talk about one of the greatest topics in the world, burnout. And more importantly than that, we're really going to be covering how to find energy when you're experiencing burnout. Because if we're all being honest, and again, if we have to be honest, at one point or another, we have been burnt out and there was still something to do. We were burnt out and there were no opportunities to actually take the break that was needed in the moment that we actually discovered and realized, I'm burnt out, I need a break. And that's just the reality of it. That's just the reality of when you are pursuing something. It's the reality of when you are trying to grow and achieve really anything in life. You will run into seasons and there will be circumstances when you are going to need to power through feeling burnt out. And it's my desire in this conversation just to share some very practical tips and hopefully give you a different understanding, an empowering understanding of some things that you can really do in order to really find energy to really power through burnout, because it's something that I've experienced personally, and these are things that I've done personally that allow me to be productive in any season, in any circumstance, particularly when I'm burnt out. And because, there are a lot of things that when you really understand your why, you have to understand that you need to find the energy, that, taking a break just simply is not an option. Now, I know there's going to be some people that disagree with me on that, but for those of you who are really working on something, and I mean really working on something, you understand what I mean when I say sometimes taking a break simply is not an option. So the first thing that you need to do to find your energy when you are burnt out is schedule rest. Now, this might seem very obvious. This might sound very elementary. This might sound simple, but I'm telling you, this is pivotal in order for you to find your energy when you are burnt out, simply because you need to give yourself a deadline. You need to give yourself an end point when I will be taking a break at this time. And there's 3 questions that you need to really pose to yourself as well as really answer, so that way you can really find the energy to see the job through. And the first question you need to ask is, when is the job going to be done? When is the task scheduled to be completed? And this is important because, again, we are talking about the scenario of you feel burnt out, but there is a responsibility, there is a task, a responsibility on your plate that must get done. And basically taking a break is not an option. You want to get clear, set a date on this is when this will be done. This task, this responsibility will be done. This project will be completed on this date. And this is empowering because you are basically giving yourself a runway, so to speak. You are creating the light at the end of the tunnel by asking yourself this question. So when we ask ourselves the question of, when will this job be done? We are creating light at the end of the tunnel so that way we know, okay, this is my deadline. I will only be burnt out for the next 15 days, 30 days, whatever that timeline is. But it does start with you getting very clear on, when will this job be done? Now, once you ask that question of when will the job be done, you then need to ask, when will I rest? And the reason why you want to ask this question, because most of the times, for some of us, and for a lot of us, honestly, we have more than just work going on. We have other responsibilities, whether it has to do with family, friends, whatever you have going on. So just because the day that you have your job scheduled to be completed, that does not necessarily mean that will be the same day that you're going to rest. Now, it can be, but we don't want to make any assumptions. So we want to get very clear on, okay, this is when the job's going to be done, but also this is when I'm going to rest. Practical example, if the job is going to be done on a Friday, then you can get very clear with yourself on that Saturday, I'm going to rest. Or because you have a family function or a friends gathering or something like that going on that Saturday, you're going to say Sunday, I'm going to rest. And again, you just want to get very specific and clear on the date and the time. So that way, again, you are just allowing that light at the end of the tunnel to just shine a little bit brighter. And when you know, again, when the job's going to get done and you know when you're going to rest, you know that for the next however many days, however many months, whatever it is, preferably days, but you know, for the however many days left, you know, okay, I lock in and this date, this time is coming. And once we get clear on when the job is going to get done and we're clear on when we're going to rest, lastly, we just need to assess and figure out the third question is, what am I going to do to rest? This is important because rest looks different for all of us. For some, it's just kicking back and watching TV. For others, it's actually getting active and going and doing things. Now, me, I fall in the category of just sitting back and relaxing, watching some TV. But for somebody else, that may mean going out to the movies or going out and doing an activity, whatever it is. Again, it's more so just about getting clear on what it is that you are going to do. And you need to know yourself well enough to know, okay, when I do this activity, this is when I feel most rested. When I do this, I feel this. And it's only when you take the time to do this that, again, that light at the end of the tunnel is going to shine bright. So you know exactly what you need to do and find the energy necessary to power through the burnout. Okay. So those are the three questions. Question number one is, when is the job going to get done? When is the task scheduled to be completed? The second one is, when will I rest? Okay. Because sometimes they don't always fall on the same date. And then the third question is, what am I going to do to rest? Pick an activity that actually refuels you. Pick an activity that actually rejuvenates your energy so that way you can get right back to it when the time comes at the appropriate time. Okay, because we always want to keep this thing moving forward. We just got to get out of burnout. But that's why, number one, we are scheduling rest, but we're doing it strategically. Now, once you've scheduled rest, the second thing that you're going to need to do is really for the in-between process. So you have where you are today, where you feel burnt out, but there's a job that needs to get done. But then you also have point B, which is the light at the end of the tunnel that you set for yourself with that scheduled rest. Now, in between, number two, the second thing that you're going to need to do is talk to someone that will challenge you. Talk to someone that will encourage you and empower you to step up to the plate. And this is very important. And I know that I may go against the grain on this, and that's okay. But I want you to talk to someone who is not going to tell you, be gentle with yourself. Because there are a lot of unproductive people who use that type of language. Because for those of us who are really trying to get something done, we understand, number one, we're pursuing something that is bigger than us. So because we're pursuing something bigger than us, we cannot allow our personal feelings to get in the way when we are pursuing something that is going to serve, help, motivate, and empower other people. So there are, just the reality of it is, seasons where you're going to have to power through burnout. So that's number one. We understand that. But we want to make sure that as we talk to other people, that we're talking to people that actually understand this concept. You're gonna find it very difficult to power through burnout if you're talking to people if the only thing they ever say is be kind to yourself. You want to talk with people who are understanding of your situation, but who will encourage you to step up to the plate and get the job done anyway. You want to talk to people who have either been in that type of situation or are in that situation themselves. So that way there's a level of camaraderie, there's a level of connectivity that you have. So that way, again, you find the energy to power through burnout. But you only do that when you talk to people that challenge you. And I know that may rub people the wrong way. I get it, because we're in a society that prioritizes feelings, and we prioritize, feeling good and everything like that. I get it. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that's not necessarily an ideology I subscribe to. But what I am telling you is to surround yourself with people who understand what it means to pursue things that are bigger than themselves, and who understand this idea and this concept that there are seasons when it really does not matter how you feel. You have a job to get done, and you're going to need to step up and get it done. And the language of these conversations, they are empowering. You should not be talking. I'm not, let me be clear. I'm not telling you to talk to anybody who is just going to tell you to work till you see bone, or work yourself to death. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is just to talk to people who understand and will empower. Talk to people who will encourage you, and even hold you accountable. Let them know your scheduled rest date, so that way they'll even hold you accountable to the rest date that you set for yourself. But you want to make sure that you're talking to people, because you're not going to find the energy doing this alone, particularly when you're burnt out. Because when we're burnt out, a lot of that self-talk is negative. We're just saying, repeat in our minds about how tired we are, how we can't wait for a break, and everything like that. And all that thinking does is just causes us to not be as productive as we could, which honestly dims that light at the end of the tunnel, making it virtually, but almost setting us up. It almost sets us up for complete frustration, simply because, we're not as productive as we really can be. But when we talk to other people, when we bring other people into our world who are preferably in your inner circle, when we bring people from our inner circle who understand the position that we're in, who understand what we're trying to accomplish, and they encourage us and they empower us, letting us know, hey, I know you feel burnt out, but I believe you can power through it. I believe that you can complete the task by X date, so that way you can go hang out, relax, do whatever it is that you find relaxing. But you want to find those people, identify those people, and you're going to need to talk to those people consistently, as much as you need to, as much as necessary, because again, you want to be productive. You don't want to throw off the timeline, because one day of unproductiveness can push the deadline back further, and that's only going to make matters worse. So better to schedule your rest, talk to someone that will challenge you to step up to the plate, so that way you're honoring the process, you're honoring the plan that you set forth, so that way you can find the energy that's necessary to complete the job and get your rest. And then the third thing that you're just going to need to do, and I say this to you plainly, and I say this to you out of love, step up to the challenge. Step up to the challenge. Simply because, understand, and this is just a fact that I've learned in life, and I believe that in some way, shape, or form you have experienced this, and if you don't know, now you will. No one is coming to save you. If you feel tired and burnt out and you're pursuing something that only you see, understand that no one is coming to save you. Yes, you're going to be talking to people that challenge you. Yes, you can talk to people that support you and want the best for you and hope that you succeed. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to do it. No one is going to achieve your dream for you. So if you are in a season where you feel burnt out, but you have a job that must get completed, you need to step up to the challenge. Step up to the challenge. Step up to the opportunity, because understand, even though you may be in this situation, it is an opportunity for you to increase your capacity. Because the worst that's going to happen is you're not going to get the job done, or you truly do just completely burn out. But at least you attempted. And I promise you, you attempting to power through the burnout versus not getting the job done will serve you better, because you're going to get better as a result of trying to power through, regardless of how it happens. But better to actually take action and see what happens versus not getting the job done. Now that has exponentially negative effects on your progress to your goals. So understand, if you're in a situation, as I said before, where you feel burnt out, you feel overwhelmed, you feel tired, but you just have something that must get done, I want you to view it as an opportunity for you to get better. I want you to take the moment, okay? I want you to take this moment, take this time, take this season, take this circumstance, and I want you to view it. I want you to shift your perspective on it and say, this is an opportunity for me to grow my capacity. Because when you are building something solid, when you are building something grand, when you're doing something great, it needs to be held up by a strong foundation. And the only way you build strong foundation is in moments when it's hard. It's in moments where you feel exhausted, but you still have more to do. It's in moments where you feel overwhelmed and you're still getting phone calls. It's moments when you have, meetings that need to be held and you feel tired. It's in these moments that you are building your foundation. And so I want you to step up to the challenge. I've been where you are. I've experienced it. And if you're like, you don't necessarily feel burnt out, I promise you at some point or another, you will. And these three things still apply. But I'm telling you, You must step up to the challenge because this is your opportunity to grow. It's your opportunity to get better. It's your opportunity to again, growth is amazing because you'll notice when you continue to be proactive in these seasons, in these moments where you feel burnt out and there's still something to do, you will find that what made you really tired and burnt out in one season, when you commit yourself to growth, when you commit yourself to doing hard things, when you commit yourself to doing things that most people wouldn't, they will be easy in another. The things that used to, the capacity that you used to have that would leave you burnt out, now you are light years ahead of it. Now you're operating at a much higher level simply because you decided to increase your capacity as opposed to focusing on the burnout. So what I'm encouraging you to do, which is just a very practical point. I've done this myself, and this is something I encourage myself with even today. You must step up to the challenge. I want you to focus on the opportunity and not the emotions. I want you to focus on an opportunity for growth as opposed to focusing on how you feel, because you are working on something that is bigger than you. You are working on something that can change generations. You're working on something that can change your family's life. You're working on something that matters. You're working on something that has purpose. And so that is going to require you to, number one, even just go through seasons where you feel burnt out, you feel tired, but there's still a job to do. But with these three things that I just shared with you, you now are armed to be able to effectively find your energy in these moments of burnout so that way you can still thrive. So just to recap everything that we talked about, number one, you need to schedule rest. And you're going to be asking yourself the question of, when is the job going to get done? When am I going to rest? And what am I going to do? The second thing that you're going to need to do is going to need to talk to someone that will challenge you, not someone that is only just going to say, be kind to yourself and everything like that. Talk to someone that will encourage you and empower you to get through this season of burnout. And then lastly, I want you to step up to the plate, step up to the challenge and embrace it. I want you to focus more on the opportunity than feeling burnt out. So I hope that this conversation was helpful to you because, it's important. It's very important for us as dreamers to understand that we have to embrace our seasons of burnout. We have to embrace our seasons of burnout because we are working on something that's bigger than us. So here's my ask of you. Number one, I want you to avoid burnout overall. Just avoid it completely by downloading the growth guide. It's totally free and it's in the description. There's a link there for you. Along with that, I'm going to ask you to share this episode with someone. Share it with someone who you know is working on something like you. And then lastly, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, whatever is on your heart to do. I truly appreciate it. Always remember, your dream is possible as long as you are willing to work for it.